Archie! $2:00.
Nero Wolfe?
Whoever you are, you may come to regret the fact that you did not dial a wrong number.
This is Lieutenant Gray, 64th Precinct, Brooklyn. Homicide.
I want you down here, Mr. Wolfe, as quick as you can make it.
You waste my time with impossibilities. Good night, sir.
Wait a second.
You can't refuse.
But I do. And I have 4 excellent reasons, sir. 1, you woke me up. 2, I never leave the house. 3, if I were to leave the house, it would not be in the middle of the night. And 4, if I were to leave the house in the middle of the night, it would certainly not be to go to Brooklyn.
Well, you better get down here right away, and I'll give you reason number 5. I want you to identify the body of your associate, Archie Goodwin. Can you identify that man as Archie Goodwin?
For this, I was awakened at 2:00 in the morning.
What?
I've never seen this man before in my life.
Private investigator's ID? Name Archie Goodwin. It's all there.
Good night.
Hold it! I've got news for you. We've got the man who killed Goodwin locked up tight and safe.
You have? And what does he have to say for himself?
Nothing yet. He's nursing a few bruises. Finds it hard to talk.
Something tells me I'd like to see this man who killed the wrong Archie Goodwin. Shall we?
No ID on him, no papers at all. Running a fingerprint check. Doc says there's no real damage, just a bad knock. He'll have headaches for a couple of days. That's him.
Just as I thought. Archie, are you all right?
Yeah.
Good. I must say you look hardly more healthy than the men in the morgue.
What are we in for?
Pull yourself together, Archie. We're going home. Brooklyn is beginning to lose its charm.
Are you telling me that this is Goodwin?
Lieutenant, you shanghaied me from a deep sleep so that I could make an identification. I have now done so.
Then who's the guy on the slab?
If I were to give that a moment's thought, which I do not intend to do, I would say that was your problem.
Now hold it a minute. Maybe Goodwin killed him.
Have you killed anyone lately, Archie?
Not in Brooklyn.
Unless you release him at once, Lieutenant, you will find yourself at the receiving end of the biggest false arrest you'd ever brought against your department. And if you do know my reputation as you so boasted a moment ago, you must also know that I do not make idle threats. Mr. Goodwin will come back first thing in the morning to answer any questions. You will excuse me, sir. I'm coming along, Archie. I assume you saw Lieutenant Gray?
I identified the corpse. That's about all I could do.
If the lieutenant did not swear you to secrecy, Archie, just who was the dead man?
Remember an ex-nightclub bouncer turned private detective? Ron Delaplane?
Ron Delaplane. Oh, yes, yes. And just what took you to the wilds of Flatbush last night to meet this Delaplane?
Oh, he said he stumbled onto something big. Something he couldn't handle alone. He said millions were involved.
Hmm. And didn't that strike you as rather fanciful from a man to whom a $10 bill was a stranger?
I felt sorry for him. I mean, Delaplane wasn't a bad sort.
But not exactly Nobel Prize material. Huh? Go on.
Before he could tell me his story, somebody hit me from behind. And I guess that same somebody put a bullet in Delaplane. Swiped my ID.
Your ID? But Delaplane's identification certified that he was also Archie Goodwin.
There are two sets of IDs. Two Archie Goodwins.
Two Archie Good... Heaven forfend. The thought boggles the mind. But why was Delaplane impersonating you? He never minded being himself before, though heaven knows he had sufficient reason to. Well, I suppose we'll never know.
He said it was worth millions. I mean, you can't give up. Delaplane said this case could be worth millions.
Well, point them out, Archie. I mean, point the millions in my direction, and I might just reconsider. Besides, if anyone else believes Ron Delaplane is Archie Goodwin, I don't think we'll have to go looking for the case. The case will come looking for us.
Yes, I'd like to see Nero Wolfe.
Your name, sir?
I'm Arthur Hunt from the law firm Ferguson, Hunt, and McClellan.
How may I help you, Mr. Hunt?
You can return a green lacquer box that was stolen from my office yesterday.
Are you suggesting that I stole it, sir?
Not you personally. Your assistant, Archie Goodwin.
This Archie Goodwin?
Just what kind of game are you playing, Mr. Wolfe? Archie Goodwin is a big, beefy man. And ugly.
That lets me out.
Mr. Hunt, you were deceived by a man who was posing as Mr. Goodwin to gain entrance to your office.
He claimed you were working for one of our clients, Mr. Patrick Pendleton. I left my office for a moment. When I returned, he was gone. He'd broken into a file cabinet and stolen Mr. Pendleton's property.
A green lacquer box?
Yes.
Containing what?
This pretense has got to come to an end, Mr. Wolfe. You know what was in the box. You had it stolen by Archie Goodwin.
Nonsense. You have been the victim of a charade.
I spoke to you myself, and as soon as you opened your mouth, I recognized your voice.
Archie, show Mr. Hunt out.
All right. I'm offering $2,000 for the return of the green lacquer box. No questions asked.
Mr. Hunt, if I were a Bowery vagrant who had gone without wine for a week, your offer still would not tempt me, sir. Good day.
Mr. Hunt? It's 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, Miss Eden. You just missed him. He's upstairs in the plant room, communing with his phalaenopsis. That's his orchids.
Yes, yes, I know. I remember. That's what Archie Goodwin told me last time I was here. I tried to hurry.
Archie Goodwin told you about the orchids?
Yes, why?
I think you better sit down.
I'll stand, thank you.
Now, you spoke to Archie Goodwin in this room?
No. He met me on the stoop out front. What difference does it make?
I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm Archie Goodwin.
Oh, that's very amusing.
Honest Injun. I have a mother in Ohio who could pick me out of a lineup just like that.
I gave Mr. Goodwin $5,000 to have Mr. Wolfe retrieve something that was stolen 5 years ago from a friend of mine.
A green lacquer box?
How did you know that?
I told you. I'm Archie Goodwin. I could send for Mom.
Of course. You have identification.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely right. I should report you to the police.
Now, look, call Inspector Kramer, Klondike 54144. If I'm not Archie Goodwin, he'll have the cuffs on me in 5 minutes.
You really are Archie Goodwin?
From the day I was born.
I don't understand.
Look, I know it's complicated, but I can
I
explain.
really have to see Mr. Wolfe.
Okay. Tonight after dinner, 8 o'clock?
Fine. Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm concerned about her, Theodore. She's one of my favorites, and she looks ill. It occurs to me that you've been giving her too much malathion.
If I'd been giving her too much malathion, she'd be dead.
Yes, Archie, what is it?
We have a visitor tonight at 8, Janet Eden. It's about the green lacquered box.
Yes. It's obvious that I have to involve myself in the affair, if only to repair the damage to my reputation.
Well, what about my reputation?
Yours has survived far worse than impersonation. But that someone should impersonate me is a matter of the gravest importance. The world is not ready for more than one Nero Wolfe.
Amen.
You will be kind enough to confine yourself to the fertilizer, Theodore.
Yes, sir.
Now, Archie, the man we're looking for, who now has the green lacquer box, is most likely to be the man who was Ron Delaplane's partner.
Except we don't know who he is or what he looks like.
But we do know what he sounds like. Me.
So how do you track down a voice in the wilderness?
Perhaps by starting with the man from whom the box was stolen. Patrick Pendleton.
I'll tell you who stole the box. Janet Eden.
Why would she do that, Mr. Pendleton?
Why don't you ask her?
She says it didn't belong to you.
She's a liar. It's a family heirloom. 18th century. That box has been handed down from generation to generation.
What's it look like?
Small. About so big.
What's inside?
Things important only to me. Personal items I gave my attorney for safekeeping.
Look, if Janet Eden did hire somebody to steal it, she certainly would have gone
She
on.
did. I know she did. That lawyer character, Arthur Hunt, gave me the name of someone called Delaplane. I'm willing to pay $10,000 if the box is returned to me unopened.
I will give him the message.
Well, thank you.
You should kill that thing. It tried to eat me. What happened here?
Somebody took this place apart early this morning, probably right after Delaplane was killed. Any idea what they were after?
Maybe the art, huh? The In Spot Club. That's where he was a bouncer, right?
Until they bounced him. And then he entered an even less respectable profession, private detective. Now, why are you and Wolfe interested?
We don't like private eyes getting knocked off. It's bad for our image.
Kramer.
Is Archie there, Mr. Kramer?
Oh, yeah? Sure. He's right here, Mr. Wolfe, sniffing around like a basset hound. Archie, your boss.
Hi.
Archie, why in blazes are you still there?
I just got here.
Come home at once. I need assistance with a certain green lacquer box that just came into my possession.
No kidding. What are you serving? Missouri Boone County ham? Baked with vinegar, molasses, and Worcestershire? Sweet cider and herbs? Nothing could keep me away.
Mexican sausage must be added to chicken and curdled egg sauce the way makeup is applied to the cheeks of a beautiful woman, Fritz. The correct amount highlights her face. Too much only masks her beauty.
I am still using a half pound.
A mistake, Fritz.
We'll see.
Definitely. Oh, I didn't expect you back so soon.
Well, where is it?
Where is what?
The green box.
I believe that is what I sent you out to find.
You don't have it?
Archie, if I had it, would I have sent you after it?
You didn't just phone me at Delaplane's apartment and tell me you had it?
Certainly not. I have been advising Fritz about dinner.
No wonder our legal eagle Arthur Hunt was confused.
Our imposter grows increasingly annoying. Whoever he is, he has the green lacquer box, not I. What have you learned?
No, for one thing, the price of the green box has jumped to $10,000. Not $1 million yet, but climbing.
And I have a feeling your Miss Eaton is going to raise the bid tonight. Now that you've thought about it, Fritz, a half pound is really too much, huh?
You see, I'm an executive vice president of the Ultimax Group. I needed help on a personal matter, so I hired Nero Wolfe. I thought. Through Archie Goodwin, I thought. I paid $5,000. That I know.
Miss Eaton, who led you to believe that given a large enough fee, I would resort to thievery?
Archie Goodwin. I mean the other one. The man you tell me was murdered.
And what is your interest in this matter?
I wanted to help a friend.
You told my Mr. Goodwin the box was stolen 5 years ago.
Yes, by Patrick Pendleton.
From whom?
I can't tell you that.
How did you know the box was at Ferguson, Hunt, and McClellan's?
They worked on a case for us about a month ago. I happened to be in Arthur Hunt's law office one day, and I saw a file drawer with Patrick Pendleton's name on it, so I just assumed...
Pendleton says the green lacquered box is his. A family heirloom.
He's lying. He stole it, and he put it in that law office for safekeeping.
And you hired Ron Delaplane to steal it back?
For your friend, of course.
You don't believe me.
How did you meet Delaplane?
He came to us several weeks ago, calling himself Archie Goodwin and looking for some work. I'd heard of you, of course, Mr. Wolfe, so...
And do you still think I have the box?
No. But you're the one to find it. And if you'll try, I'm willing to pay you $20,000.
For its return? Unopened. And naturally, you can't tell us what's inside.
As I said, I'm only helping someone.
Who shall remain nameless,
I've told you the truth. Will you help me?
Not under these conditions, Miss Heaton. A man has been killed, and I intend to find the green lacquer box and examine its contents.
I see. Well, thank you for your time.
Archie.
Good night. I've made a very generous offer. Perhaps you could change his mind.
I wouldn't bet on it. You turned down $20,000.
A mere pittance, Archie. The Ultimax Group is a conglomerate owned by one of the richest women in the world, Rebecca Rhodes. Archie, check with Lon at the Daily Gazette.
The wedding of the 1971 season. Rebecca Claiborne marries Frederick Allen Rhodes, chairman of the Ultimax Group.
Love at first sight, they said. She didn't start hitting the bottle till after the honeymoon.
Bridesmaid Janet Eaton. Night of terror. Financier Frederick Allen Rhodes shot by armed intruder.
There were marks where a prowler climbed over the wall. No robbery, apparently. May have been an attempted kidnapping.
Who discovered the body?
Stephen Halstead, Rhodes' right-hand man at Ultimax. He also found Rebecca in the bedroom, passed out.
No trace of the weapon or the murder?
Not a sign. Right after it happened, she went to a clinic in Switzerland for emotional dry cleaning. For the past 4 years, she's been hopping all over the world. But no public appearances, no interviews. The paparazzi treat her like she was Greta or Jackie. Here's another batch. We got a whole file of them.
Lon, can I get copies of these?
Anything for a pal. And you see the story lands on my desk first, right?
You got it.
I'll tell Wolfe I'd better.
Here he comes. Archie Goodwin. The votes aren't in yet.
We got an appointment. We'll take you.
Sorry, gentlemen. The dance card's all full.
Look, Mr. Halstead wants to talk with you. Now, don't make any trouble.
Stephen Halstead? Of the Ultimax Group?
That's right.
Why didn't you say so? What are we waiting for?
So, you do see, Mr. Goodwin, without my knowledge, Miss Eaton took it upon herself to retrieve something of personal value to Rebecca Rhodes. Her intentions were the best, but unfortunately aroused the interest of Nero Wolfe in Rebecca's private affairs.
Oh, aren't you forgetting one small matter, Mr. Halstead? A man's been killed.
Ron Delaplane's death was an unhappy coincidence. It had nothing to do with the green lacquer box.
You sound as though you really believe that.
It's true. We don't know who killed Mr. Delaplane.
I have a proposition for Mr. Wolfe.
You want us to find the box, unopened, return it to you, but you can't tell us what's in it.
Not at all. I'll pay Nero Wolfe $50,000 to drop the case.
What, you don't want the box?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Frankly, Mr. Goodwin, it would be much simpler for us to buy the box from whoever has it. Rebecca's name in the headlines would serve no good purpose. She suffered enough. And now Janet's caught up in it. I wish we never heard of those letters.
Letters?
I've already said too much.
Stephen, he's not going to listen to us unless we're more open with him.
It would be a pleasant change.
Rebecca's marriage was a travesty. Frederick treated her very badly, so she turned to drink. And to another man. A diplomat in one of our European embassies. He happened to be married as well. And they wrote letters.
Quite indiscreet.
So can you understand now? How many more people could be hurt in this? I was just trying to help, and it looks like I've done more harm than good.
I'll see what I can do.
Oh, thank you.
Nero Wolfe's office. Yes, he is. It's for you.
Who is it?
You.
You, sir, are playing a most dangerous game. It has, I admit, become more dangerous than I intended, sir. My life seems to be in deadly peril. I want to hire you to protect me. In return, I'll give you the green lacquer box. I accept on one condition. Which is? You bring the box to my home. I'll call you back. Undoubtedly a professional impressionist. Where would the late Ron Delaplane have met such a person?
Probably at the nightclub where he was a bouncer.
You saw posters on the walls of his apartment. Perhaps there's a lead there. We must find our impressionist before the killer does.
The police took Mr. Delaplane's things away. Poor man. Guess you read about it.
Afraid not. I've been away.
Rent's only $400 a month. It's nice for that, isn't it? Oh, I can have that junk taken down. $400's a real bargain. The furniture's nice, too. There's not anything in this block that's any better than that.
Well, the trouble is I'm only going to be in Philadelphia 2 weeks.
Philadelphia? This ain't Philadelphia.
It's not?
This is New York.
This is really wild. I must have got on the wrong plane. I'm really sorry about this. Very sorry.
Philadelphia.
Name, Johnny Allen. He's got a pad in Soho. I talked to his agent. Johnny's between engagements. Has been for a year. His agent says these aren't happy days for impressionists.
At this point, I'm less than passionately interested in Mr. Allen's career. I want him in this room with the green lacquer box.
Well, I got Saul Panzer staked outside Johnny's pad with orders to bring him here in one piece soon as he shows.
Satisfactory. You, in the meantime, will pay a call on the American Insider.
That supermarket gossip sheet?
Yes. An odious tabloid, I agree. But every one of these photographs published within the past 5 years, Archie, every one of them, either originated in the Insider or was used with their permission. Come around here. I want you to see something. Come around. Observe. These three, Rebecca Rhodes in her teens, at college, and her wedding pictures, huh?
Pretty.
All right. Now, here. The elusive Mrs. Rhodes caught always from a distance by the paparazzi, huh? At an airport, the beach, and a ski lodge.
Okay, so she travels. She can afford it.
That's not the point, Archie. Look at the ears. The ears.
No earlobes.
Exactly. Because the rest of those are not Rebecca Rhodes.
Well, where's the real Rebecca Rhodes? Dead?
A possibility that must be explored by a talk with a photographer who prefers to remain anonymous. It may be difficult to get his name from the Insider, but get it. Promise them anything.
I saw the editor at the American Insider. I had to promise him the moon, but he filled me in about you, Pendleton. Taking a vacation?
Italy, I thought. That's where the action is.
The editor of the Insider said you're pretty good with a camera, especially a telephoto lens.
I'm terribly busy, so if you don't mind.
How long has Rebecca Rhodes been dead?
Dead? You're crazy.
You've been photographing her double for 5 years. Why if she's not dead? Now, that would leave Janet Eaton and Stephen Halstead in control of the Ultimax Group and the Rhodes millions.
Crazy, plain crazy.
And no wonder the price of the green lacquered box keeps going up. Inside must be proof that Rebecca's passed on.
I tell you, she's alive. She's at the estate on Long Island. All right. Sure. They hired me to photograph her double. So what?
Who hired you?
Janet Eaton and Stephen Halstead.
Why?
Mrs. Rhodes likes her privacy.
She tell you that herself?
No. I never met her.
Well, then who told you?
Janet Eaton. Ask her. She has proof Rebecca's alive.
If that's true, then what is inside the box?
It's like I told you before. Personal things.
Like letters?
Letters? Who told you that?
If not letters, then what?
I can't tell you that.
Why?
If I did.
Police are up there now.
You say Pendleton told you Rebecca Rhodes was alive. Did you believe him, Archie?
Yeah, he was pretty convincing.
Find out for yourself. Go out to the estate.
Soon as I hang up. Mrs. Rhodes?
I saw you coming across the yard. You've come for me, haven't you? To take me away. I knew it would happen one day. The nights I've lain awake, waiting for someone to tell the truth to, wondering if I'd have the strength.
The truth?
About my husband. I killed him, you know.
How did you get here? What do you think you're doing?
She's coming with me. Tell your guards it's all right.
Guards? This isn't a prison.
I told him, Stephen. I had to. I had to tell someone sooner or later.
Goodwin, I'll double my previous offer. 100,000. If Nero Wolfe will just leave us alone.
No, Stephen. I know you mean well, but I want it this way.
Rebecca, if you leave, you'll be throwing your life away.
I did that 5 years ago, when I shot Frederick.
Let her breathe, Halstead. She's suffocating.
All right. Maybe it's better this way.
Rebecca, no! Janet, don't try to stop me. You can't do this to her.
It's over, Janet. She wants it this way.
I'm so sorry.
I suppose the next stop is the police?
Time enough for that. Next stop is Nero Wolfe.
You brought Rebecca Rhodes with you?
And the rest of our group is in the front room, including our worried attorney, Arthur Hunt.
Satisfactory.
Oh, I think you better know. Janet Eaton showed up at the Rhodes estate driving a green car with a dent in the fender.
The car you saw after Patrick Pendleton was shot?
The same.
Is Miss Eaton carrying a purse?
She is.
Keep an eye on it, Archie.
Fritz let us in the back. Well, here he is. Johnny Allen, impressionist extraordinaire.
Nice work, Saul.
Well, say something. Well, say something.
It's amazing. How on the phone, he even sounded fat.
He was getting ready to do a bunk. I had to change his mind.
Mr. Allen, you telephoned me and asked me to help you in return for a certain green lacquer box. Why, a moment later, did you hang up?
Well, I suddenly remembered. Ron Delaplane called Goodwin here, and the next thing you know, he was in the morgue. So, I thought I'd light out on my own.
How did the box come into your possession?
Delaplane said it would be safe with me. Because I was using your voice, everybody would be coming here instead.
And so they did, Mr. Allen, so they did.
Look, Mr. Wolfe, I didn't know what Ron Delaplane was up to, okay? I swear.
Yes. And did you bring the box with you?
Oh, I sure did. And good riddance.
Saul, take Mr. Allen to the kitchen. Fritz will fix you both some buttermilk pancakes.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Archie, bring in the other guests.
Aren't you going to look inside?
It's unnecessary. I know what it contains.
It's that time, ladies and gentlemen.
Your ordeal, Mrs. Rhodes, will shortly be at an end. Will you please sit here by me? Mr. Halstead, there on the settee. Mr. Hunt, up here, please. And Miss Eaton, if you will, here. Mr. Hunt, you are here on behalf of your late client, Mr. Patrick Pendleton. Is this the box he brought you for safekeeping?
Yes. Yeah, it looks like the box.
What instructions did he give you regarding it?
I'm afraid I can't divulge that.
Oh, come now, Mr. Hunt. Shall I tell you? On the event of his death, you were to open it and take appropriate action regarding its contents.
How could you possibly know that?
It was Mr. Pendleton's insurance policy. For 5 years, it served him well. Well, the time has come, Mrs. Rhodes, for you to tell your story.
It's an all too common story, Mr. Wolfe. I married Frederick before I really knew him. It wasn't long before I realized he was an arrogant, domineering, brutal man. I started drinking. I helped at first. But the alcohol only numbed my body, not my brain. I began to hate him. Divorce was out of the question. Frederick wouldn't hear of it. So one day, I knew I had to kill him.
Forgive me for interrupting, Mrs. Rhodes. It has been suggested that you were having an affair with a diplomat, I believe.
Alcohol was my only weakness, Mr. Wolfe. I don't know where you heard it, but there was no other man. Perhaps there should have been.
Please go on.
The night Frederick died, I'd been drinking. I fell asleep. I woke up about 10 o'clock. Frederick kept a gun in his desk. It was in my hand. I don't know how I could have fired it, but I looked outside and Frederick was in the pool, dead.
Mr. Halstead.
I went out to Long Island with some contracts I wanted Frederick to sign. I found him floating in the pool. Rebecca was upstairs. She was still holding the gun.
What did you do with it?
I called Janet. I gave it to her.
And what was in the green lacquer box?
Patrick Pendleton had been creeping around the estate for weeks, trying to sneak shots of Rebecca and Frederick for his sleazy newspaper. That night he got more than he bargained for.
Pictures of Rebecca shooting her husband?
Yes, and he's been blackmailing us ever since.
He was also helpful in creating another Rebecca Rhodes for the world. One who had recovered from that night, who was living her own life again.
I'm glad it's out in the open. I feel better now than I have for years now that you know the truth.
On the contrary, Mrs. Rhodes, now I know the lie.
I don't understand.
Mrs. Rhodes, for 5 years you have lived with the belief that you killed your husband. Someone has allowed you to believe that lie, which almost destroyed you.
That's ridiculous.
2 more people have been killed since then with the same gun.
I still don't see...
Miss Eaton, when Mr. Halstead gave the gun to you, what did you do with it?
I took it home.
You didn't dispose of it?
No, it was Frederick's. And if it had been found, people may have guessed about Rebecca.
Where is the gun now?
I don't know. I don't understand what you're getting at.
How did your car get those dents in the right fender?
My car?
The car you drove up in today.
You mean the green one? That's a company car.
Where did you get it?
From the motor pool.
When?
Well, right before I went out to see Rebecca.
Archie, will you be good enough to look in Miss Eaton's purse, please?
No.
Will you please explain, Miss Eaton, why you are carrying a gun that ballistics will prove killed 3 people?
Stephen?
Janet, why?
I was only trying to protect Rebecca, I swear. As God is my judge, I did not kill anybody.
I don't recall accusing you of murder.
What's going on here, Mr. Wolfe? What's the object of all these theatrics?
They are not theatrics, sir.
Are you implying that I'm involved in these murders? Is that why you summoned me here?
No, Mr. Hunt, that is not the reason. Will you please sit down? Now, Miss Eaton, how did the gun get into your purse?
I had been keeping it at my office, locked away. And Stephen called me today and asked me to bring the gun with me when I went out to see Rebecca. He said there was no point in hiding it any longer.
And a quick check at the motor pool should establish that Mr. Halstead arranged which car you would drive. Yes, you've been walking a tightrope for a long time, Mr. Halstead. But only now have you begun to lose your balance.
Are you saying I'm guilty of something?
Murder, Mr. Halstead. I don't know why you killed Frederick Rhodes, but the reason you killed Ron Delaplane and Patrick Pendleton is here in front of us. These photographs show you shooting Frederick Allen Rhodes. Pendleton was blackmailing you. You made Janet Eaton believe the photographs showed Rebecca Rhodes killing her husband, so she became your ally.
The Ultimax Group is my life. I built it. My sweat, my brains. Rhodes, he only provided the money. It didn't matter to him. He was going to fire me. company would have been bankrupt in 6 months with him running it. All those years I gave it, gone. All gone. I'll take those photographs.
Archie, you did remove the bullets from Mr. Halstead's gun, did you not?
Absolutely. It's not safe having a loaded gun in the house.
And over here, we have the Papio Padello.
Beautiful. But I think my favorite is still the first one.
Oh, really?
Would you like it, Mrs. Rhodes?
Oh, I couldn't.
It's one of Mr. Wolfe's favorites. I'm sure he'd love you to have it, wouldn't you, sir?
Yes, of course. Of course. Thank you, Theodore.
Thank you, Mr. Wolfe.
Well, I should thank you. Your check was more than generous.
Forgive me, sir.
Yes.
There is someone to see you.
You know I never see anyone when I'm up here.
Yes, sir. But he says he has an appointment. There are 2 photographers with him.
And just who is he?
Mr. Hines, from the American Insider. He's here, he says, for the lowdown on your favorite foods, your orchids, and... forgive me, sir. Your women.
Archie.
You said you promise him anything.
Yes, I did I not?